Welcome to a journey through the back roads of America, where treasures wait patiently in old barns and forgotten warehouses. American Pickers first aired on the History Channel in January 2010, quickly becoming one of the network's most successful shows ever. The concept was simple yet captivating, following two friends as they traveled across the United States in search of what they affectionately call rusty gold. This show wasn't just about finding valuable items, but about preserving pieces of American history that might otherwise be lost to time. The unique format combined treasure hunting with storytelling, as each item discovered had its own tale to tell about American culture, innovation, and everyday life throughout the decades. The show struck a chord with audiences because it tapped into something deeply American: the thrill of the hunt and the romance of the open road. As Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz traveled in their white antique archaeology van, viewers got to experience the anticipation of what might be found behind each barn door or inside each cluttered garage. Unlike other antique or auction shows of the time, American Pickers focused on the journey and the people as much as the items themselves. Each episode took viewers into the homes and properties of regular Americans, often eccentric collectors who had amassed incredible hoards of items. Over decades, the conversations between the pickers and these collectors revealed fascinating stories about regional history, manufacturing, and the changing landscape of rural America throughout the 20th century. What made American Pickers truly special was how it changed public perception about junk and forgotten items. Before the show aired, many Americans viewed old signs, motorcycles, toys, and advertising memorabilia as simply taking up space. After watching Mike and Frank explain the historical significance and surprising value of these items, viewers began looking at their own family heirlooms and dusty attic contents with fresh eyes. The educational aspect of the show was subtly woven into each episode, as the pickers would explain the historical context of their finds, discussing everything from early automotive history to the evolution of advertising in America. This approach to entertainment made learning about history accessible and exciting to audiences who might never visit a museum or read a history book. The relationship between the pickers themselves added another compelling dimension to the show. Mike Wolfe, the visionary and eternal optimist, could see potential in even the most deteriorated items. His enthusiasm was infectious, as he would excitedly explain the history behind a rusty bicycle or weathered sign. Frank Fritz, more pragmatic and focused on items with immediate resale value, provided the perfect counterbalance to Mike's sometimes overeager approach. Their friendly banter and genuine friendship gave the show heart, while Danielle Colby, who managed their store in Iowa, kept things running smoothly back at headquarters. Together, this trio created a dynamic that viewers connected with, making them feel like part of the picking adventure. The formula proved incredibly successful, capturing the imagination of millions of viewers who tuned in week after week. The show demonstrated that history wasn't just found in museums or textbooks, but could be discovered in the most unexpected places across America. It celebrated the stories of ordinary Americans and their extraordinary collections, connecting viewers to tangible pieces of the past. As the pickers negotiated deals and loaded their treasures into their van, they weren't just salvaging objects, they were preserving stories and memories that might otherwise have been forgotten. This respectful approach to both the items and their owners earned the show a dedicated following that continues to this day, making American Pickers not just entertainment, but a valuable archive of American material culture. The origins of Americans. Pickers can be traced back long before it became a television phenomenon. Mike Wolfe had been picking professionally since the 1980s, traveling across the Midwest in search of treasures others had overlooked. His passion for finding and preserving pieces of Americana began in childhood when he discovered a discarded bicycle behind a neighbor's house. This early experience sparked a lifelong obsession with rescuing items that told stories about America's past. Frank Fritz, meanwhile, had worked as a fire inspector while collecting antiques and unique items. As a hobby, the two Iowa natives became friends through their shared interest in motorcycles and vintage items, often crossing paths at various sales and swap meets throughout the region. The journey to television was not an overnight success story, but rather the result of Mike's persistence and belief in the concept. For years, he documented his picking adventures with a small, handheld camera, creating homemade videos that he hoped would convince networks that picking could make compelling television. After numerous rejections and 5 years of pitching the concept, the History Channel finally saw the potential in Mike's vision. The network recognized that the show offered something different from typical antique programs, focusing on the adventure of the hunt rather than just the value of the finds. When American Pickers premiered on January 18, 2010, it drew over 3.1 million viewers, making it the highest-rated series premiere in History Channel's history at that time. Behind the scenes, creating each episode involved far more work than viewers might imagine. While the show appeared spontaneous, with Mike and Frank simply driving up to properties and knocking on doors, the reality involved extensive research and preparation. Danielle Colby played a crucial role in this process, researching potential, picking locations, and making initial contact with collectors. The production team would scout hundreds of collections for each season, looking for the right combination of interesting items and compelling personal stories. Not every property owner welcomed cameras into their private spaces, making each successful pick the result of careful negotiation and relationship building. This behind-the-scenes work was essential to maintaining the authentic feel that made the show so popular. Some of the most memorable moments on American Pickers involved extraordinary finds that captured the imagination of both the pickers and their audience. One such discovery was the Aerosmith van found abandoned on a Massachusetts property, which turned out to be the band's original tour vehicle from the 1970s. The emotional reunion between the van and band members Steven Tyler and Joe Perry became one of the show's most talked about episodes. Another legendary pick involved a rare 1937 Harley-Davidson knucklehead motorcycle, discovered in pristine condition and purchased for $20,000, a significant investment that demonstrated Mike's expertise and passion for vintage motorcycles. These headline-making finds were balanced with smaller discoveries that might have seemed insignificant to casual observers, but held important historical or cultural value. The success of American Pickers extended far beyond television ratings, inspiring a cultural movement that changed how many Americans viewed old items and collectibles. The show's popularity coincided with a growing interest in upcycling and repurposing vintage materials, influencing interior design trends and boosting attendance at antique shows nationwide. Mike's business, antique archaeology, expanded from its original location in LeClaire, Iowa, to include a popular tourist destination in Nashville, Tennessee, where fans could purchase items seen on the show or simply experience a piece of the American Pickers world. The pickers themselves became unlikely celebrities, with Mike Wolfe using his platform to advocate for small towns and historic preservation across America. The dynamic between the show's stars was always part of its appeal, making changes to the cast particularly significant to loyal viewers. In 2021, Fritz departed from the show amid reports of health problems and tension with Mike Wolfe. This marked a major transition for American Pickers, as the duo's friendship had been central to the show's chemistry since its inception. Despite this change, the program continued with Mike taking the lead, joined by his brother Robbie and other pickers on various adventures. The show adapted by placing even greater emphasis on the stories behind the items and the connections made with collectors across the country. Though different from its original format, American Pickers maintained its commitment to celebrating America's material history and the people who preserved it. The cultural impact of American Pickers extended far beyond entertainment, influencing how many Americans perceived the value of old items and artifacts. Before the show gained popularity, countless historical pieces were routinely discarded during estate clearances or demolitions, their significance unrecognized by owners unfamiliar with their cultural or monetary value. The educational component of the show helped viewers understand that seemingly ordinary objects like advertising signage, mechanical toys, or automotive memorabilia could provide important insights into American manufacturing, marketing, and daily life throughout different eras. This newfound appreciation led many people to preserve family heirlooms they might otherwise have discarded, effectively saving pieces of history that might have been lost forever. Fan-favorite segments often featured not just valuable items, but meaningful human connections. Viewers particularly enjoyed episodes where Mike and Frank would return items of personal significance to their original owners or their descendants. One such moment occurred when they purchased an old pharmacy collection that included documents from the early 1900s, later tracking down family members of the original pharmacist to share these personal artifacts. Another memorable interaction involved the veteran who became emotional when the Pickers purchased his collection of military items, ensuring they would be preserved rather than scattered or thrown away. These heartfelt moments revealed that the true value of picking extended beyond monetary considerations, touching on themes of legacy, memory, and human connection. The show also documented significant changes in American collecting culture over its run. In early seasons, Mike and Frank often encountered collectors who had accumulated items over decades with little awareness of their market value, sometimes resulting in remarkable bargains for unusual pieces. As the show progressed and online resources made price information more widely available, negotiations became more sophisticated, with property owners having better understanding of what their items might fetch at auction or in specialty markets. This evolution reflected broader changes in American consumer behavior as the internet transformed how people researched, bought, and sold collectibles. Through it all, American Pickers maintained its focus on the stories and historical significance behind the items, even as the business aspects of picking became more complex. The educational value of American Pickers cannot be overstated, as the show effectively made history accessible to viewers who might never engage with more traditional educational content. Through casual conversations about vintage motorcycles, antique toys, or early advertising materials, viewers absorbed information about American industrial design, manufacturing techniques, and cultural trends throughout the 20th century. Teachers reported using clips from the show in classrooms to illustrate concepts about economic history and material culture. while museums noted increased interest in everyday historical artifacts similar to those featured on the program. By demonstrating that history existed not just in textbooks, but in garages and barns across America, the show democratized historical knowledge in a way few other programs had achieved. The legacy of American Pickers continues to evolve, with the show adapting to changes while maintaining its core mission of preserving American history through material objects. Though the cast may have changed over time, the program's emphasis on storytelling and historical preservation remains consistent. Each episode still serves as a time capsule, documenting collections that might otherwise remain hidden from public view, or worse, be dispersed or destroyed without their significance being recognized. As the show progressed through multiple seasons, it increasingly highlighted the urgent need to document disappearing aspects of American material culture before they were lost to time, development, or changing tastes. This preservationist ethic gives American Pickers a purpose beyond mere entertainment. Throughout its run, American Pickers maintained a delicate balance between commerce and preservation that distinguished it from similar programs. While negotiation and profit were central to the picking business model, the show consistently emphasized respect for both items and their owners. Mike frequently purchased objects he knew held more historical than monetary value, demonstrating that preservation sometimes outweighed strict business considerations. This approach resonated with viewers who appreciated seeing historical items treated with reverence rather than merely as commodities. The Pickers' genuine enthusiasm when discovering unusual or significant pieces communicated the importance of stewardship, inspiring many viewers to become more thoughtful about the historical items in their own possession. The geographic scope of American Pickers provided viewers with a unique cross-section of American life rarely seen on television. By traveling to small towns and rural areas typically overlooked by mainstream media, the show highlighted regional variations in collecting patterns and material culture. Episodes filmed in New England reveal different collecting priorities than those in the Deep South or Pacific Northwest, reflecting America's diverse regional histories and industrial development. Through these varied locations, viewers gained appreciation for the rich tapestry of American experience beyond major urban centers. The show's celebration of rural America and its material heritage filled a significant gap in television programming, which typically focused on coastal cities and suburbs rather than the small towns where much of American history unfolded. Sadney, future of American Pickers, seemed secure as interest in historical preservation and vintage collecting continues to grow. The show has inspired a new generation of pickers and collectors who appreciate both the adventure of the hunt and the importance of preserving material history. Museums report increased donations of everyday historical items, suggesting greater public awareness of their significance. Meanwhile, historic preservation movements in small towns across America have gained momentum, partly influenced by the show's celebration of local history and architectural heritage. Whether American Pickers continues for many more seasons or eventually concludes its run, its impact on how Americans view their material past will endure as one of its most significant contributions to popular culture. As we reflect on the journey of American Pickers from a simple concept to a cultural phenomenon, we can appreciate how it transformed our relationship with the past. The show demonstrated that history isn't just found in museums or textbooks, but exists all around us, waiting to be discovered and appreciated. Through their travels across America's back roads, Mike Wolfe and his fellow pickers revealed the extraordinary. Stories hidden in ordinary objects, connecting viewers to tangible pieces of their shared heritage. More than just entertainment, American Pickers became a movement that celebrated preservation, curiosity, and the thrill of discovery. By showing that yesterday's discarded items could become tomorrow's treasures, the program changed how we view the material world and our responsibility to protect pieces of history for future generations.